Hello, my name is Chris and this is a review of the 2020 Cadillac CT5-V. I'll start with a few brief words on the exterior styling, then I'll look a bit more in depth at the interior and go over the drivetrain specifics. Then I will give you my impressions on the road and explain to you why you should choose CT5-V over similarly priced German rivals. It is that good. Sorry for the lack of image quality, it has been dark and cloudy for a month in Quebec this December. This is a mid-size sports luxury sedan. It is late in the season for a 2020, but it is what it is. Caddy has been polishing their sedans slowly but surely, and I think they finally nailed it. The exterior styling is distinctive. I was seduced by CT5's uniqueness. The Germans tend to all look the same in the mid-size segment. CT5V stands apart. The base CT5 has a 4-cylinder turbo, but this V has a twin-turbo V6 and a loud exhaust. More on that later. Although CT5V has a $50,000 base price, this tester has $15,000 worth of options. When you add transport fees, it's $67,000 plus tax. Sounds expensive, but a BMW 330i all equipped is only $2,000 less in Canada, and that has a 4-cylinder turbo. So it is less expensive than the German competition. For a mid-size, the trunk is smallish and the rear seats also feel like a compact sedan, which isn't very practical. Sitting in front, however, it certainly feels like a mid-size, and it is business class here. It starts with these seats, which are made of an awesome leather and have adjustable bolsters and leg extension, high level. This optional suede steering wheel feels solid like a rock and heats up quickly and uniformly in cold weather. The infotainment is okay versus its competitors, and Caddy went with a philosophy that if you can't make it simple, make it redundant. For example, there are 3 ways to adjust the volume, 2 home buttons for the infotainment. It's not a sophisticated simplicity, but it is effective. This infotainment has a short learning curve for the basic functions. The heads-up display is nice, the Bose sound system plays very well, and the driving aids are overly cautious and are constantly vibrating your seat. The suspension is best in class. Magna Ride is freaking awesome. I'll talk about that later on the drive. It is flat in corners and compliant, almost magical. The steering wheel feels hefty and there are multiple drive modes. The exhaust has a throaty sound. When you pay for power, you want to hear it, and this exhaust delivers. Although not as classy as the Germans, the tank-like feel of CT5V was evident. Ultimately, this car is a value proposition. I loved it and I think you will too. The engine is thirsty but always ready to go. You will find yourself accelerating briskly, merging on highways. The sound combined with the acceleration is intoxicating. It is a 3-liter V6 twin turbo that makes 360 horsepower and 405 pounds of torque and does have noticeable lag off the line. It does 13.8 liters in the city and 9.4 liters on the highway with premium fuel. Here are my thoughts on the road. Hello car lovers driving the Cadillac CT5-V. This vehicle is very, very good from the start, let's just say. And I'll explain why. It's kind of a weird vehicle in the sense that its base price is like a 3 Series, except reading the publicity, it seems to portray itself as a mid-size sports sedan. However, this vehicle goes for $65,000 plus taxes, right, versus the base model. There's kind of a big jump in price. It's kind of hard to say whether it's a mid-size or not. Sitting in front, it feels a large, compact, small, mid-size-ish. Sitting in back, it definitely feels compact, and looking at the trunk, it is certainly compact. Looking at it from the outside, though, it does look kind of mid-size-ish, so whatever. The bottom line is this vehicle has 360 horsepower and 405 pounds of torque and an excellent exhaust, a raspy exhaust. I think when you have power, you want to hear your exhaust, so that's very good. A few key things that make a vehicle premium versus the non-premium, which I think this Cadillac nails. Number 1 is I love this steering wheel. Even though it's a suede steering wheel, it feels super solid, chunky in the hand, perfect, perfect. And everyone who I had sit in this car said the same thing. It really feels good. Solidly built. This feels so solidly put together. There's a tank-like feel here. It's undeniable. And I would have to say tank-like, as good as the Germans. And that is a tremendous compliment I'm giving it. I would have to say the design is perhaps less polished than the Germans, no question. However, you kind of got to give it an A for effort in terms of like just the general feel of the materials. These seats are amazing. The bolsters are adjustable. There is a leg extension also. Those are like key features of the high-end seats. Very comfortable here. They're heated, they're cooled. Very good, very good. No problems on that level. The visibility is fine. I've been driving it all week. Great. It has a certain assertiveness when you're driving it, and it's not displeasing. I find myself often when manufacturers lend me a car for a week, perhaps by day 3 or day 4, I'm yearning to get back in my Acura TLX. I have not felt this with this vehicle. In fact, one of my friends, she was telling me, you know what, Chris, is this the car for you? I was kind of like, yeah, I was kind of like, wow, this is really a nice car. So on a personal level, there's that. I am somewhat, not only an amateur reviewer, but I'm kind of like an expert in this field in terms of like the luxury sedans, because that's kind of like the cars I like. And I'm representative of the typical buyer. So the engine is very good. The transmission, I wouldn't say it's quite BMW ZF, but pretty darn close. It shifts quickly, it goes in the gear you want. I don't try the paddle shifters. I mean, less than 1% use the paddle shifters, and I'm certainly not one of that 1%. And I don't find it gives you any street cred when you're using paddle shifters or when you drive a manual transmission. So this automatic transmission is awesome, but not quite as awesome as BMW's, it must be said. The engine has very distinctive pull characteristics. Off the line, it is a little bit laggy, but however, when it gets going, it's fine. It pulls totally appropriately versus its horsepower figures, and there's an eagerness to it. I think that's with those V6 twin turbos, there's a certain eagerness to it. They just keep pulling you and pulling you and pulling you, and it just pushes against your back. At 50, 100, 150 kilometers an hour, it really is good. The star of the show, according to me, what makes it all come together is this magnificent suspension. This adaptive suspension is the perfect blend between level cornering when you're beating the car and a certain compliance when you're doing your daily grind. That is where this car is so high level. And I think when you're dealing with premium vehicles, it is things such as the suspension, the styling. Those are the things that will make the vehicle stand out, that feeling of being built. All those things together make Cadillac as good, if not better, than its German rivals for a similar price. I would say the only place where the Germans edge this vehicle is in terms of the finesse of the interior and the exterior design. All German cars have a little bit of kooky electronics. This one has kooky electronics. The electric mirrors that tuck in maybe a bit too long, sort of paranoid front collision detection, which vibrates the seat every time it thinks you're not paying attention, and sometimes you are paying attention, you're just driving like a normal person, you're not pre-braking in advance. Those things are kind of like, they get on your nerves, but I must say, the layout, the general quality is very good. The infotainment is large and you can reach them with your hands. It's you can touch them. This dash is of decent quality. It's not the full digital dash like the Germans, but it is not distracting. I'd have to say the seats are above average. The Bose sound system, special mention for that. Not all Bose sound systems are the same. As you pay more, they do play better, and this one is probably a higher end model, has more speakers, and it plays very loud. And I was listening to like some of my 90s music, which the recording quality is not always awesome. It was playing it very loud and very well, and it was also playing the more recent stuff very clearly. So that is well in the class, I would say. So overall, I would have to say this vehicle is highly recommendable. I think it's a top 3 if you're shopping a vehicle at this price, and it's a must test drive. And I think, of course, when you're shopping, it's always this thing with GM, you can always sometimes get better deals. They're known to negotiate hard. I've known people who have leased many Cadillacs. It's just the nature of my work brings me into contact with all kinds of people, and I've spoken to, and I will speak about cars. So the leasing deals are sometimes better than the website would lead you to believe. So I think you have to go to the dealership and try this vehicle. This is such a high quality vehicle, and Cadillac's been working hard on that for the last few years of making a high quality sports sedan. And I'm sure this will permeate throughout the rest of its products. And their ability to get this down right is I think an indicator that the manufacturer is serious in putting in effort. So the best GM product I've tried in many years, and that is the review. By the way, if you like this review, like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. And if you really like it, well, then you should subscribe. And that is it.